I was recently at a panel discussion where a newspaper editor took me aside afterward to let me know that I had said something she didn't agree with. I had said that everyone should invest time in doing one thing, learning to code. The editor told me that she had people for that. Why on earth would she need to understand coding? But would you ever say, I don't need to learn how to read or write because I have people for that? We hear about coding a lot these days because we're living in a technological age. To understand the world today means that you need to have some understanding of the language in which the world operates. That language is code. There is no product, service, or experience that can be built, marketed, or executed without the use of technology. And that's because today, every industry is a technology industry. UPS, Walmart, Goldman Sachs, all refer to themselves as tech companies. Domino's Pizza has been calling itself a tech company that sells pizza for years. So why is this tech company branding so important? Well, by 2020, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there will be an estimated 1.4 million technology jobs, for which there will only be an estimated 400,000 computer science graduates. That comes out to 1 million technology jobs that will need to be filled. According to code.org, there are currently over 570,000 open computing jobs. These unfilled jobs have big implications for the economy. As the US competes with the world to develop people and products, every city within the US is in a race to do this locally, as it is the source of jobs today and what fuels every business. And how can you grow a company or build a product without the primary resource needed to do so? The only way to fill this gap is to educate, train, and hire locally. Otherwise, we're continually poaching from other companies and markets because the demand far exceeds the supply. There's no quick fix. Time and money need to be invested and priority placed on building a sustainable ecosystem within every city. That sustainability starts with people, in particular, developing talent. And every city needs solutions for the kinds of problems that only the people who live there can understand and appreciate. Take Miami as an example, an unlikely technology hub. For those outside of Miami, it doesn't necessarily evoke an image of a thriving tech ecosystem filled with top tech talent. And yet, both of those elements are here right now. In Miami, there's a multi-billion-dollar HVAC company, because Miami is a place that understands and appreciates air conditioning, called Watsco. Watsco considers itself a tech company. They successfully train and hire locally to achieve their business goals. Now, despite the increasing need for talent, most companies are missing out on good people standing right in front of them. Employers talk about a talent shortage, whereas those seeking employment talk about a lack of opportunities. So what can be done to better connect and identify talent? Here are 3 things that employers can do. The first is to update the lens used to identify talent. The second is to invest in apprenticeships and training. And the third is to place priority on building a diverse team. A new or modern lens by which to identify talent is essential. Educational background and past experience are no longer effective filters for what constitutes good tech talent. Those doing the hiring should consider individuals with non-traditional tech backgrounds. For example, removing the need for a computer science degree for a technical role actually deepens the pool of qualified candidates. Today, a computer science degree is not needed to learn how to code and isn't a meaningful indicator of who will make for a great software developer. That shift has already begun, as top tech companies like Google and Apple no longer require a computer science degree for technical role. Think about the title of blockchain developer. That didn't exist 5 years ago, and in another 5 years, it might be totally gone. There are very few, if any, colleges teaching blockchain development. So it doesn't make sense to make a college degree a barrier to consideration. Another method for identifying talent is an individual's past industry experience. This certainly provides information on an individual, but it doesn't make for a reliable filter. A stay-at-home mom turned software developer may get overlooked. Musicians, athletes, veterans, all can be great developers, all with non-traditional tech backgrounds. Musicians, for example, understand the need for constant practice in order to become proficient at something. This is a mentality that's not only beneficial, but absolutely necessary as a software developer, as coding is a craft that you work over time to develop. Many in the military use their service as a springboard to a civilian career. Veterans, while unlikely to have a computer science background, nonetheless understand the need for discipline and intense focus. These are also elements that make for a great software developer. The point is that any background can be a pathway to a technology career. As Obama said, if you can do the job, you should get the job. So replace a focus on an individual's past experience with a focus on an individual's characteristics and their actual work, like their portfolio. The second is apprenticeships, which date back to the medieval times. Apprenticeships were necessary to keep a craft alive. If a blacksmith didn't train her replacement, when she died, the town would simply go without. These craftsmen and women felt a duty to their industry to keep it going for the next generation. The definition of an apprentice is one who learns by practical experience under skilled workers of a trade, art, or calling. In the 1970s, this was commonplace, and so was employee training. But recessions in the 1980s and 2008 led to cutbacks in those programs. Despite economic improvements, they have not made a strong return. Today, many companies expect others to train their workers. They want employees to hit the ground running. And therein, we have a dilemma. Everyone needs modern tech talent, but nobody wants to take responsibility for developing it. Universities are too slow to adapt curriculum to new technology skills, and companies cut back on training to save money and fear that their apprentices will jump ship. And yet, the need for this talent still grows, so where will it come from? Companies are going to end up paying one way or another, either in the form of training their own workers or paying a premium for the few qualified candidates that there are. Now that said, building a pipeline through apprenticeships of solid talent specifically trained to your needs and culture is a great business decision, even if there's risk of them leaving for another job. As an employer, you create a culture of professional development and an onboarding process to identify and develop exactly the people that you need. The final and perhaps most important item on the checklist is the benefit of having a gender diverse team. According to Deloitte, 85% of consumer purchases are made by women. The workforce in the US is 47% female, yet only 12% of engineers are women, and they remain underrepresented in tech jobs. It's time we made the creators, builders, and developers of products and services more reflective of the people that buy them and use them. Diversity leads to better products that are more reflective of their users. That results in stronger business because more reflective products generate stronger revenue, as well as fostering a healthier and more inclusive workplace. So let's make gender diversity a priority, if not for the obvious reason that men and women should be treated equally, then because it will make your business better. McKinsey & Co., for example, points out that companies in the top quartile for diversity are more likely to have financial returns above national industry medians. Your company will do better because your products, your culture, and your team will be better. But keep in mind, you'll still need to consider those non-traditional tech backgrounds because currently only about 16% of computer science graduates are women. I still believe everyone should learn to code, not necessarily to become a developer, but to understand how the world works. As a business person, you should understand software because chances are your industry relies on it. And not only does your industry rely on it, but you'll probably find yourself hiring technical talent. The better you understand code, the better you'll be at identifying and recognizing the talent your business needs. Going back to my conversation with the editor, I may not have convinced that newspaper editor. Why? Because it's not about whether learning to code is a useful skill to have in general. She understands that. That's why she has people for that. The bigger issue is one of self-perception. She doesn't think she should learn because she doesn't think she can learn. If someone like her, with her background, walked into her newspaper's headquarters asking for a coding job, she wouldn't hire her. Why? Because she doesn't seem like the coding type. She can't imagine how someone like that, someone like her, could, for example, train for a few months at a coding academy and be a valuable member at a technical team. And therein lies the real problem. It's a failure of imagination, a failure to recognize potential. Fortunately, there are solutions to this problem. They are to recognize that your business is a tech company. It's about updating the lens you use to evaluate candidates to bring into the focus people with non-tech backgrounds. It's about investing in apprenticeships and training. And finally, it's about making diversity a priority so your team looks more like your customers. Thank you.